Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Malika Williams, and I want to discuss social media and talk about how it's responsible for the development of young children. I specifically chose this topic because I'm a mother of four children and I'm also a mentor. I work very closely with children, preferably teens, but I do have a 9-year old and a 6-year old. So I'm always seeing the different aspects of how being a teenager, you having social media, and the kids being exposed to YouTube and different things like that. One thing that I want to point out is I understand the development is extremely critical for youth, and everything that they observe and digest has something to do with essentially their growth as an individual. The ethic dilemma that I want to display is just basically the mental and emotional effect sometimes social media, has on the development of children, especially young children. And one of the things I want to bring up as far as social media was basically created for families and friends to be able to connect and communicate. And even though that's a very good pro to that, some of the cons of that is is more accessible to sexual predators, gruesome videos that your kids are exposed to, and just different things like that. And these things that your children are right exposed to basically allows them to sometimes see things that typically you would be able to monitor with a television show or things like that. So I do believe the ethical dilemma here with the social media is who's responsible for certain things that goes on due to social media. So for an example, cyberbullying, which cyberbullying has a big thing to do with the development of the children because they are already building self confidence and self esteem. So who is responsible when a child experience cyberbullying to an extent where suicide is involved? So one of the things that I researched was they're saying teen girls from the ages 15 to 19, has hit an extremely high rate of suicide within the like 40 years. And then, it was a 40-year high in 2015, like double the rate in teen girls. And then it's like 30% higher rate percentage for boys. So one thing that I researched and learned was social media is very deceitful. So it portrays these images that is not realistic. And so a lot of times growing up, you think of, things that we watched on TV and how you might have compared your life to something that you might have wanted on TV. It's kind of some of the same things. I read an article on NBC about a young lady named Sandy Riggs, and her aunt uh, went to the school and actually made a complaint about an incident of cyberbullying to Instagram and things like that, where it got to the point where the young lady took her life. And so these are the things that I feel who is exactly responsible for that. No, I'm not stating that, Facebook or Instagram should be responsible for suicide, but I do think that they should take some accountability for the social responsibility part to bring consistent awareness of how cyberbullying is not cool. How social media is not designed to tear someone else's self-esteem up. And so all of these things that our children are being exposed to and have the access to, I think that is critical for these larger corporations and companies that's benefiting, that has the access to millions and millions of people all over the world, to give this exposure to let people know about the cyberbullying or the sexual predators, educating the kids on these sites on what to look for if it's someone that seems a little inappropriate or things like that. My ethical side arguments is I do feel that partially a lot of it is parenting. I'm a parent, and things that my kids have access to, I should have knowledge that they have access to. The unfortunate part about the social media is, everybody kid has a phone, so it's typically so difficult for you to consistently keep up with things that they can erase or things that they could remove and things like that. It's just technology is so strenuous that you basically have to have that communication and have that relationship with your kids in order for them to know what's right and what's wrong. My side that I ethically stand on, and why I stand on it, I do feel that Facebook and Instagram, Kick, Snap, all those different outlets, have access to millions of people. Something that me as a person that's in my community trying to be a leader, I would love to have the outlet to be able to expose certain type of difficulties and different things, because it educates people on things that you're unaware of, and that's what social media should be for, sometimes in a positive. So I look at it as, I do feel that it is the socially responsibility part of these big organizations, social media, Google, all of these big corporations, to maybe get together and show that cyberbullying exists, the rates of suicide, maybe having suicide lines. And this is something that's consistently aware, not when something's happened. Something happens and it's tragic, and now everybody want to be aware of it, but this is real. The cyberbullying is real. The development of our children are at risk, and social media, we can't strictly blame social media, but we do have to have a conscious decision on what's healthy for our children and what's not, and also having those decisions and talks with our children to let them know that it is cyberbullying and this stuff do exist, and how to actually handle it. Just like talking to your children about sexual predators that they might encounter online, and so everything is like in working order. That's just like your kids going to school, and you being a parent, you want to have a good communication and a good relationship between the parent and the teacher. So, just one of the things that I feel is I'm very passionate about is the youth and the children, and I do think that they are our future, and everything that they consume, whether negative or positive, has some type of cause and effect in their life. And at the end of the day, us as adults and people that are raising the next generation of people need to hold some accountability, and that stands for parents and large corporations. So at the end, everyone plays their part in making this ethical dilemma be aware, because of course we can't completely stop cyberbullying. We can't completely stop people committing suicide, but we can make people aware.